I think culture, whether it's church culture or just culture at large, it's always a pendulum swing,
Yes.
right? And it's always trying to correct what the
Yeah.
previous generation went extreme towards.
Yep.
So we did have a very extreme honoring up culture, and we saw the good of it, and we saw the
Yeah.
not so good of it. Well. Welcome to a very special episode of Hot Topics and
Soul Food.
my name is Kysern, for those of you who are not familiar, and your name is?
Daniel, and you can call me DK if you want to.
We got to differentiate because we have another
Yes.
very special guest today.
So happy he's here with us.
Yeah, who's called Dan,
Dan
as
as
well.
well,
And
so-
come on, why don't we give it up for Mr. Dan Blythe,
Thank you.
all the way from the UK. Welcome
for
to
having me.
Malaysia.
Man,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
love
joining
Malaysia.
us, man.
Just as before we were rolling, and I just asked Dan how many times has he been to Malaysia, and you said this is your 12th
12th
time.
time. 12th
Yeah.
time. Love Malaysia. Got the Malaysian tiger. One
Come
of my
on,
favorite
Dan.
tattoos.
Okay, this Dan. Okay, I'll call you DK from
Yes,
now.
just DK,
just
bro.
to differentiate.
Yeah.
Do you even have a Malaysian themed tattoo?
No, man. No, not yet. So this guy is more Malaysian.
Yeah,
What's
than
this? Is this a
us.
lion?
So this lion is...
That's the British lion.
That's a... Okay, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
We swap dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
swap dance.
But Dan Blythe, welcome to Malaysia once again.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So DK,
Yes.
I'll be DB.
You
DB.
BB.
Yeah, DB DK.
Sounds good.
I'll be KL, okay, DBKL.
Dude. Okay.
Anyway, all right, lame jokes aside.
Alright.
But Dan, so we are the host for two different shows, Hot Topics and Soul
Soul
Food.
Food, yeah.
And today is basically a mashup. It's just friends.
Yeah.
Getting together for a
officially
chat.
a collaboration.
And but we would like to get to know you officially, so that the audience can get to know you as well. What's the Dan Blythe story?
The Dan Blythe story. So I was born in England,
Right.
in a place called Surrey, and then when I was 1 year old, my mum and dad moved to Australia. So I had a few years there.
Okay.
Then they came back to England and they got divorced. Neither of them Christian at that time. Then they both encountered Jesus separately, like born again, all in Christians. Married, new partners. So I had a stepdad and a stepmom who were also Christians. So
Okay.
from the age of 10, I was taken to church every weekend.
Okay.
But throughout my teenage years, like I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know him personally.
Right.
And all I saw was a load of rules. Do this and do that. And I was just like, I can't live to this standard. Like I don't know Jesus. And so
Right.
as soon as I was 18, I'm like, I'm out. And I had an Australian passport as well as an English passport.
Okay.
Because I lived there. So I went over to Australia, age 18, backpacking, just to go party hard. First week, meet some Christians. And they invite me boxing, surfing, watch the Rugby World Cup, and then to a small group to have a conversation about faith.
Right.
And I had so many questions. I was so curious because I live for the weekend, they live for something much greater. I live for the moment, they live for significance. And when I said to them, why do you live the way you live? They're like, it's Jesus. And I'm like, well, I want to know Jesus for myself, and gave my life to Jesus at age 18.
Wow. I want to get right into it because I like the whole, they invited you for rugby, surfing,
Yeah.
and then to a small group.
Yeah.
And today you are working with youth at Alpha,
Yeah.
right? And do you think that this sort of activity still stand the test of time? And this is the best approach for a young person?
Totally. Young people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And what happened was I was hanging out with these guys, and like in England we have this word called banter. Banter is when we'll take the mick out of you,
Yep.
rip you to shreds, make
Yeah.
you feel that big.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how
yeah,
we
yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
But when I got and was hanging out with these guys, they were just encouraging, uplifting, and I'll walk away feeling so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what it is about these people. I was attracted to their presence, and obviously that was the Jesus in them.
Right.
So I definitely think relational, hanging out with people is so important.
Yeah. I think sometimes we're just so fixed in okay, let's plan out the next big event.
Yeah.
Let's plan out the next big conference, right? I think nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
But after a while, like even for myself, like just working with youth, the barbecue, I have no stamina to play basketball, but I'm showing up just to be with them and have that relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to that, it's interesting that we're talking about this today because I think it takes a lot of intentional effort. And I want to say thank you, Kysern.
Wow.
Because
From the very beginning, thank you.
from the very beginning,
Okay.
because we are like 10 years apart.
Wow, yeah,
Almost
sure.
there, right?
Go ahead.
I don't
throw
mean
me
to
under
make him
the,
sound
throw me
old.
under the bus. Okay, sure.
Yeah, right. But we're good friends.
Yeah.
I look up to you as like an elder brother. I think it took a lot of effort because Johnny behind the camera as well, right? To hang out with us, you saw us like when we were young.
Yeah, so
And
I knew these guys since they were in college.
Yeah,
and
man.
we would plan to hang out and things like that. And they would always be late. They will always be late. And we used to come from a church culture where before the elder one arrives, before the leader arrives, you better be there.
Yeah, right.
I was the one waiting for them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. Where are these kids and these guys? And they always get it from me.
yeah. But hey, we're still here today.
Yeah, I love that.
And but one thing I want to say thank you because you meet us where we're at. And I think it's like what Dan shared, like, you know, when he went over to Australia backpacking,
Yeah.
this bunch of guys, I don't know if they're older, but, you know, rugby and surfing, they kind of met you where you're at and
Yeah.
all. Do you think it still stand to the test of time as well?
I'm still meeting you where you're at.
Yeah.
You're still late. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay, for the record, he has improved tremendously.
Gee, thanks, man.
But yeah, I think one of the joys is really, you know, when I first got to know them, that level was like me, leader, you, minion.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But
Right.
yeah, they were kids.
Yeah.
And the gap just closes so much right now. And of course, they still see me as their big brother. But I must say, DK,
Yeah.
you're probably one of the most, and I've told you this before, the most encouraging person in my life.
Man.
Yeah, you are.
And whenever I'm down, you know, yeah, you just send that text. And usually after a big event, like even yesterday, you will say, hey, he calls
man.
me TK.
Yeah.
We wouldn't say what that stands for.
Just for another pot.
Yeah. But he'll say, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. So I must
Yeah.
say he has never failed to be the one. One of them really
Thanks,
encouraging
man.
me and all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the reason I brought it up because I think we want to talk about youth and we want to create a space for youth together and be there. I don't know for the both of you, you know, especially, I don't want to use the word older or more senior in this. Do you think that you have to take a lot more effort, you know, and you think that more should also do that?
Yeah. So you look at Jesus with his disciples, like he just gave them so much grace. He was so patient with them, you know, Peter all over the place. And I think if you really care about the person, about them stepping into everything God has for them and not caring about what they do for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes in leadership, it's all about them serving you and your vision, your dream. But if you flip it and make it about, actually it's about you and your future,
Right.
then you give them that grace.
Yep.
You know, I think I was catching up with this young person the other week, lunch, booked the table, we put it in the diary, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, haven't turned out. I text like, everything's all good. So sorry, totally forgot. I'm like, okay, cool, no stress.
so familiar.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
it's you, bro.
But then I was just like, don't worry about it. And then they were like, oh, have you got any other time this afternoon? And I looked at my calendar and it was like a squeeze, but I'm like, sure. And so I moved things around and then I had coffee with them later on this afternoon.
Right.
That person is doing great stuff with God, you know,
Right.
like, and not because of our coffee, but it's someone that I didn't want to just like disregard
Yeah.
because they
Right.
made a mistake or they
Yeah.
dropped the ball or they
Right.
couldn't work within my level of expectation.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if we are going to bring in these sort of younger, maybe a bit more immature people,
Yeah,
we
right.
as elders need to give them a lot more grace and love and
Right,
support and help them.
Yeah.
But when would the disciplining come in? Because I think maybe some of the listeners and those who watch this would ask the question like, you know, okay, we want to be there for the young person, you know, but this person is late. This person has bad habits. I don't know. In your journey, maybe for you as well, you've been bearing with us, but when do you think that disciplining start, or when do you think that elder person earn the trust to
Yeah.
discipline?
Yeah. So I always address a pattern rather than a one-off. So if someone's always on time, then once they're late, I'm like, don't worry about it. But if there's a pattern, then I'll sit with the pattern. And really what I'm looking for is their heart posture. And so if when I'm sitting with them, I can see they actually care. Like they want to be better on getting on time. They want to improve in this area.
John, you want to be better on time? Oh, John, yeah.
and that's so true. And I don't know if you remember this
Okay, let's go.
incident.
Oh, man. Come on.
Exactly. Okay, let's talk about punctuality as an example, right?
Okay.
If you're late once, you're late once.
Yeah.
But if you're always late, you're not late. You have a time management problem.
Yep.
Yes,
It's a pattern. And there was one time I remember it was worship practice.
Let's go, Kysern.
And
Let's go.
he was late again, like for the I don't know how many times.
Oh, man.
And it's always the same excuse. First, he'll say he got a stomachache.
Come on, let's go.
Second, Caroline, if you're listening to this, he will say, "Oh, Caroline,
It's Caroline's
delayed
fault.
me or whatever." And there was one time I got so fed up, I sat him down. I said, "DK,
Yeah.
got a problem. You always blame your stomach. You always blame your
Yeah.
wife. But at the end of the day, if you know you're gonna get a stomachache, why don't you just wake up earlier?"
Yeah.
And the problem is because you're selfish. You rather get the 15 minutes of sleep
Yep.
and make everyone wait for you.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that was the turning point.
Yeah.
And after that, he just
Yeah.
changed.
So I like that.
Mm.
But I had a few youth who left because of that approach. I wouldn't say it scarred me, but it's hard because I appreciate that conversation. He confronted me with it. But I think with Gen Z and Gen A coming up, right, I think it's a very, very different approach. What do you
Yeah.
think, and how is it like?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we really love the person, we will have the honest conversation because we're doing it to help them and not hurt them.
Right.
Let's just take punctuality as the example. Ultimately, if you become good with punctuality, you're going to do better in every area of life.
Right.
You're going to do better with your partner. You're going to be doing better with your friends, better at work.
Right.
So the skill of punctuality that you're actually helping them in is helping them succeed in life.
Yeah.
And as soon as they realize you're doing that to help them, not hurt them, then hopefully they'll receive that in the right way rather than I'm disappointed in you for not doing what I wanted. I'm doing this to help you so that you can actually do well. And
Yeah.
so I remember when I was 18, I started off as a pastor. I had to meet 8 a.m. every morning with my boss, with the pastor, and all I had to do was just tell him what I was doing for the day. And I remember getting up, going like, why do I have to get up so early, just to tell him what I'm doing for the day? But, I just made a decision. If that's what he's asking, that's what I'm going to do. And so I just did it, and I was committed. And that helped me my whole life. I've never been late to anything. Like, I'm not a late guy. The only times I'm late is when I'm intentionally late, like going to a party. Like, you don't want to be the first person at the party, So I'm grateful that someone's spoken to my life. But do you know what? People have different desires of what they want to do with their life, and maybe different understanding of what God has put on their heart. You are now leading us in worship in such a humble, gifted way, and so you had that sense of call of God, and so you're going to actually value punctuality because it's not about you, it's about others.
Yeah.
For others, they might not have that awareness yet, or that sense of calling and passion. And so, what we need to do is try and awaken that sense of God call on their life so they understand that these practical things are actually about glorifying the Father.
Yeah.
But are there any areas where you struggle with maybe communicating with someone younger? Maybe not punctuality, but something else, a habit in their life, or something you have learned maybe through that, in like trying to get them out of that pattern, for
Of
example.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had lots of bad patterns in my life. So I spent my whole teenage years messing up my life.
Right.
Became a Christian when I was age 18. Those patterns and negative rhythms didn't just drop off me. I was at Bible college still doing stuff which wasn't acceptable. I'm not talking about punctuality. I'm like stuff which is just like, it doesn't honor Jesus.
Yeah.
And when I would do something, it'd be told to the principal or my pastor. I'd have to go and explain, what happened in the office. And they were just so gracious, so loving. And they were saying, Dan, you did this. I said, yeah. They said, do you understand how this impacts your life? And do you understand how this impacts others in a negative way? And they're like, do you want to live with these things, bound by these things, or do you want to experience freedom? And I said, yeah, I want freedom. And because of the grace and love they showed me, over time, those rhythms and behaviors broke. And so I think what's happened now is the difference is that we're in this digital revolution where a lot of communication is via phone.
Yeah.
Text, WhatsApp, DMs.
Yeah.
And I've made a personal decision that I will not critique or give anyone positive or negative criticism via those platforms.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So Albert Merivin, he did a study on this, and he said when it comes to communication, 5% of it is words, 45% of it is body language, and 50% tone of voice.
Yeah.
And so when it's text, DMs, or WhatsApps or emails, all it is words.
Yes.
And so much gets lost in translation. I'm sure
Yes.
we've all text people and they've been like taking it the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I try and use emojis all the time. At the end, I'm like, I love
Wrong
you.
emoji.
Yeah.
And I so resonate and agree with that. Okay, maybe because of a generation thing, but I so agree because at the very least, a phone call.
Yep.
If I can't
Yep.
see you. But I find sometimes I delay a bit too long because the point of meeting with that person, so it's a tension we manage.
Yeah.
It's and the thing is, just like any generation, whether it's our generation or even yours
Yeah.
or the ones that we are leading right now that you're leading, I think we have a lot of differences, but we have a lot of similarities as well.
Yeah.
It's about trust. And every generation wants to be heard.
Yeah.
Every individual human being wants to be seen, wants to be heard, wants to be listened to. I think that just doesn't change at all because that's wired in us.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you've seen how, I guess, communication has changed from generation to generation? Have you changed the way you lead?
Yeah. And some of it learning the hard way as well. So one thing that really hit me, I think, since last year, this is this statement, Jesus had a passion for his ministry. He knew he was going to the cross. He was passionate about it, the passion of the Christ and all. But what really defined it was his compassion towards people, the interruptions. So even in the context of disciplining someone, we got to ask ourselves, is it about me or is it about that person?
Yeah,
because a lot of
right.
times, if we be honest, it's about me wanting to vent my frustrations. It's about you annoyed me, you pissed me
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
and I want to just let it out on you. And because it's, hey, you deserve it. And of course, when we talk about it, we know it's not right. But at the moment, when emotions are high, when you're angry and things like that, just having that thought in my mind personally has helped me because it was through a very frustrating period dealing with someone in their 20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And I was just so frustrated. But this thought just came to my mind. Yeah, you may have a passion, but where is your compassion?
Right.
And it's just a question that I just keep asking myself.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing that for me right now, and the people that I really have the honor of guiding and leading, right, this season, and what I want to say is that it's getting harder in terms of communicating. It's getting harder, even to sometimes sit down, and with the attention span as well, being short. Like you want to have a conversation with someone, and I agree, to meet them face to face, but the attention span is really short and all. I don't know. Have you guys?
So we should be asking you because you deal with a lot of uni students and teenagers.
Like I said, that's why I'm still learning from this. Like I think one of the things is.
So
of
what have you
course,
found effective?
For me, it's patience, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Just to be that listening ear and keep showing up again and again and again. But I don't know if this is right to ask. Is there any shortcut then? Is there any shortcut to this? You know, in terms, because okay, maybe if you've got, let's just say 5 people in your group, right, and you're taking care of them, and by the grace of God, more is added into this community. Now you have 20, but you as a pastor or a leader, to have that time to sit down one by one and then dealing with the attention span and then, go through the bad habits and patterns, right? Back then in the past, it feels as if yo, buck up, get this done. And you're like, oh, yes, sir, right? And I think hearing from when your principal or someone confronted you kind of get it. But I think with the newer generation and, I don't know, with you traveling and meeting different youth leaders, is there something you pick up along the way? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you see the same pattern in parenting. So parenting, I mean, especially in the West, you probably see it here as well, was a lot like fear-based parenting. Right. So you do what you're told, because if you don't, there's a consequence. You might get a smack or you might get disciplined, whatever. Yeah. And but now you're seeing less fear-based parenting.
Right.
And it's swung almost to feeling-based parenting, where they're asking the kid how do you feel? But really, what as parents we try and encourage faith-based parenting when there's still a consequence. If you speed, you get a speeding fine. If you murder someone, you're going to prison. So consequences are part of life. So we tell our children there is consequences, but we're not leading out of fear. And I think what we see in the church as well is, I think in the old way there was a lot of fear. Fear if I don't do this, there's going to be a consequence. Right. I won't be allowed to lead anymore. They'll take away the authority. They'll take away responsibility. And the fact that fear is getting diminished, taken away, and people aren't fearful of the pastors anymore, I think that's one of the healthiest things that has happened in the church. But what it means is that we because we're not leading out of fear, we need to step up and leading in faith, step up leading relational. And Jesus did this really well. He spent more time with the 3 than he did with the 12. Then he spent
Right.
time with the 12. So he was very, I guess, selective with how he spent his time.
Right.
You know, and I think we need to do the same. You know, if you've got 20 people that you're mentoring and coaching and discipling, I don't think you can actually effectively do that one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think you could do that in a room, like, you know, once a week, every fortnight, have them in a room where you're actually having space for your teaching, questions and answers, openness. But in terms of like who you're sitting down with one-on-one, I think you've got to be really selective. And I'd probably choose the ones, either the ones that you just think are like totally like no one's believing in them and you've chosen to believe in them, or the ones who are saying like, yeah, please invest in me.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't just choose the ones who say invest in me. Like I make sure I'm also going after the lost sheep who
Yeah.
no one believes in.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. You know, one of the things that I learned is, definitely we don't want to be fear-based in our approach. And why I asked that question earlier, because one of the things that I realized today is, I don't know if this context applies to UK, for example, but here in Asia, we are taught to always respect our elder, right? No matter what, respect your elder first. Even if they are unsavory or, you know,
Unsavory.
not correct.
Good choice of words, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
And you're kind of like, okay, yes, sir,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But today, I feel like it's reversed. Like, and so with working with young people today, I feel like when I give them respect first, like, hey, I'll meet you where you're at. I respect you first. Okay, you know, you're going through this and I'll be there with you. But it takes so much time. Like, it takes almost like 6 months to a year. But when they finally get you, like, oh, you are there for me, you really win that relationship. So the reason I asked the question was this, for me, like what I experienced, is it took a long time today. Do you think that that's the right way to do it? Or do you guys feel like it's just too long? But what I experienced is like, man, these guys, you know, when you meet them where they're at, they're messy and all, but take that really long time. But the approach of respecting them first.
Yeah.
And they will disrespect you, like, yeah, you are bro, you know, that kind of thing. But then when you win that relationship, man, they are with you for a long, long time, right? So, yeah, you know, in that approach, can we shorten the time span? Or, you know, do you think that the old school way of like, hey, I'm the elder one, you still got to listen? I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys?
Got any thoughts, Kysern? You go for it.
I don't think I work directly with youth, as in youth ministry, like both of you, but of course, leading a team that is of different ages and all, there will be young people in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I apply this not just to youth, but generally, I try not to formularize things. Because 2 15-year-olds can be so different.
Right.
And I think that's where that compassion part comes in.
It's
That,
good.
yes, you're that from the age group, but I also want to know you as an individual.
Yeah.
Because you can be different. So for some, yeah, it clicks faster.
Yeah.
For some, they may require something else. And you know what? For some, I have to admit and surrender, you know what? I may not be the right person to do this with you. Because sometimes if you think about it, it's either a Messiah complex that we have,
Oh, yeah.
or maybe it's ego that, oh, does it mean that I'm a bad leader? Is it a failure on me that I cannot do this? I'm not good enough to do this. So it's questions that I ask myself. But as I grow older, I think these are things that I'm more comfortable living with. That, yeah, you know what? DK is just, I just surrender, you know. Maybe I'm just not the right person to be there for him. Of course, this is after putting in the effort, going through a certain amount of
So
time.
the effort is there, must be there.
Yeah. So I don't have an answer as to like, oh, is it this method now or that method now?
Yeah.
But I think getting to know that person and to know the situation, and of course, just the simple dependence on God and the Holy Spirit. So you know what? Yeah, maybe just surrender and not feel really too bad about it, and just let my ego die as well. You know?
Yeah.
like, okay.
Right.
I think you're spot on. It's like seeing all the young people as individuals. Psalm 139, fearfully and wonderfully made.
Right.
Fearfully means unique in an intrinsic way. So
Yeah.
they're individuals. So, you know, if we do youth ministry, like it's the same for everyone. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to see them as individuals. There's this guy called McCrindle. He's got a research group based in Australia. And he looked at all the leadership styles of the different generations. And so the silent generation, who are the oldest on the planet right now, silent because when they were children, they were seen but not heard, weren't encouraged to have a voice. And the boomers, baby boomers, because there was a boom after war. So, you know, our grandparents, their leadership style was controlling and directing. Now, before we complain about that, it's because they grew up in a time of war. And at war, you don't have time for a feedback survey or to say, how are you feeling? Like, at war, it's control and command because you got to save lives, you know. And then from there, you had Gen X and they were coordinating. So they started working with a bit more of a team. Gen Y, millennials, my generation, we were guiding like bigger brothers and sisters.
Right.
Like we will show the way, but we'll also go the way with you. But then for Gen Z, their sort of leadership style is empowering. They want to be empowered and they want to empower others.
Right.
So I think the way we lead is different to how we used to lead in other generations. And you got to understand, like, no one wakes up going, I'm going to be controlling or I'm going to be empowering. We're all a product of the culture that we grew up in. And so Gen Z have grown up in this culture where they want to be empowered and empowered others. And so I'd be thinking really like, you know, out of my, let's just say 10 young people or 10 people that I am discipling, investing in, it's like, how can I actually empower them? They want to build the plane while we're flying it. They're not saying, I want to go through loads of training and then after 10 years, I'll wait for my opportunity. They're like, I just want to have a go now. So what does that look like? You know?
So being in your role as Global Alpha Youth Director and working with young people and youth leaders from just across different countries and all, what are the differences you see, if any?
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a lot more similarities in this generation across the world than in the last 20 years of youth ministry, purely because of their iPhone, their smartphone. They're so much more connected than ever before, so they're much more aware. So like there's certain trends which are just going all over the place that they're kind of like inhabiting. And I think they're asking deeper questions earlier on, you know, before they kind of live in their own like echo chamber, you know, that kind of village mentality where all they knew was what was taught, but now they're just aware. So it's like their knowledge and information that they're exposed to at a younger age is causing them to ask deeper questions. So there's a lot of similarities there. Differences, yeah. I mean, I think ultimately, like the needs in every country is different. We did a big research piece of research called the Open Generation through Barna, where we listened to 25,000 teenagers across 26 countries, and we said like, what injustice comes to the top for you? And for a lot of Asia, you know, when I looked at Malaysia and Indonesia and the Philippines, it was political corruption. That's what they cared about the most. In the UK, in Europe, it was climate change. In America, it was racial injustice. In Canada and Australia, it was mental health. In India, it was pollution. In South Africa, it was unemployment. So what it meant is we could see what was bubbling to the surface. And so I think there's a lot of similarities, but then the needs in each country kind of still looks very different.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious because you travel a lot, right? So I know I think you went to South Africa recently. Was there something that you discovered in the culture that like, I think we can use this in the UK or somewhere else? Was there something like that?
Totally. I mean, one of my favorite things about what's happening is that some of the stuff that's happening in other countries, you know, like Malaysia, like South Africa, is like impacting the UK. And, you know, whether it's a sense of freedom and celebration and praise and worship, you know, traditionally, the English are known as being reserved people, like held back, kind of like the word reserved means holding back for another purpose. You know, and so, you know, for me, like I think about, you know, with everybody that's moved to the UK, whether it was like over the last 100 years, you know, there seems to be such a freedom, I think, in praise and worship and celebration. Even at the World Cup, you know, you see Ghana play, you see Mexico, you know, such celebration. I love that the UK are being exposed to other cultures and bringing a sense of freedom in those things. So I think, you know, we're probably in a time now where everyone's kind of wrestling with what traditions are we going to cling tightly to hang to the next generations, and then what ones are we holding loosely, you know. What about for you guys? Are you seeing this kind of like global sharing of culture impact you guys here in Malaysia?
Honestly, I haven't really looked into it.
I think for Malaysia, we've always been impacted anyway. Right. We watch American movies,
impacted by American
TV shows
culture,
growing up. So that's why sometimes when I speak, people ask, hey, did you go overseas to study, or where's your accent from, or things like that, because we are just such a hodgepodge of influences growing up as a kid. So music-wise, entertainment, it's very, very American influence. But as the years pass, of course, South Korean entertainment culture,
Yeah.
Japanese
Yeah.
entertainment
Yeah.
culture, and even,
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, we listened to bands like Oasis,
Right.
Bands like Blur, and
Oasis.
yeah, and they're still
Can
singing
you,
today.
yeah, you're going to
Till
sing a bit of
today.
Wonderwall.
You gonna sing me Wonderwall today?
Are we gonna sing Wonderwall later?
I'll do it later.
We don't know. Yeah. So it's we've always been influenced because we were
Yeah.
also a British colony as well.
Yeah.
So I think that has always been a part of our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you say, you know, in today's day and age, like people are sharing the same memes
Yeah.
worldwide.
Yeah.
So everyone is sort of consuming similar stuff right now.
Yeah.
Whichever country you're at. You know?
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
we're learning from the East. The West is learning from the East.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even every time I'm here, like I'm just like a sponge. I'm just learning, listening, absorbing. What can I take back?
Right.
And even the youth series that we created, right now it's been done by over 1.2 million young people across 127 countries.
Come on.
But it wasn't created in the West for the rest. You know, the production house was here in Malaysia.
Right. Yes.
We got stories like shots of story from Japan,
Yeah.
Latin
Yeah.
America, all over the world. And so
Yeah.
this wasn't created in the West for the rest. It was created globally. And that's why young people around the world are like loving it, because they're learning and seeing so many different cultures. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're in a beautiful time of history where your culture is respected, it is honored, it is appreciated, and we can actually learn a lot from all the different cultures around the world.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that I realized. I think using the alpha videos as one of our tools in our community is that when as simple as maybe an African girl who's joining us for the first time, and she sees a African person being interviewed, and that just draws her in.
Yeah.
And there's connection there,
Yeah.
you know, or and person from Indonesia is like, hey, an Indonesian
Yeah.
person is there, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I think in the past it has always been like a very Western production,
Yeah.
and I think that was like the highlight, like, oh man, this is from the West,
yeah.
And all of that. But,
So I'm curious to know as well, being in Malaysia for so many times, what part of Malaysian culture or youth culture that has intrigued you,
getting there,
or that
yeah.
has like, whoa,
Yeah.
never thought it was like a surprise,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean, nasi lemak, you know, it's been a bit of a game changer. I mean, the thing I'm always struck by here is the kind of like humility of the people, the kindness.
Right.
And I think, you know, when I come here, like I don't see the narcissism that I see elsewhere. You know, narcissism is obviously when we're self-absorbed. The story comes from Narcissus, who like saw his reflection and he just dived in and ended up losing his life.
Yeah.
So obsessed with self. And I'm sure, you know, there is levels of narcissism in every culture. You know, in the 90s, we could see people really weren't having a sense of self-worth. So we're coming like, you need to love yourself, like L'Oreal, you know,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
worthless. So we, you know, we've done a lot to try and encourage young people to actually have a bit of love for self. And so again, the narcissism epidemic has come from the culture that they've grown up in. No young person is going, I'm going to be narcissistic. It's just the culture that they're growing up in.
Yeah.
But I think what's refreshing for me whenever I come here, and especially to Malaysia, and I'd even say especially to Collective Church, like just such humble people, servant people who are not doing it for popularity or prominence. They're doing it because they're really passionate about sharing the love of Jesus. So I'm always blown away by the humility here.
I think the humility comes from the culture that Pastor Kevin created. I think he kind of like, what are you doing? What?
he never asked me that.
Oh,
so
he never
maybe it's you.
Maybe the younger ones back then, right? We would have that moment, and but I mean, speaking of culture, I think it's so important to curate
Yeah,
that
yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, for the both of you, I mean, in that position, do you find it very hard to, oh man, I've just set this tone for the culture. Oh no, another new bunch of people coming in. I have to rework on it again. How do you deal with the stress, or how do you go about it? Yeah.
DB.
Yeah, or as in like, how do we actually like be the architect of culture?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told there's 3 ways to lead.
Okay.
By example, by example, by example. You know, so it always starts with, you know, the life that we're living, you know, in private and in public. You know, integrity is who you are when no one is looking, but it's also who you are when everyone is looking. So it's like, it's always important for us as individuals to be those people who are really modeling what we say.
Yep.
You know, I think a lot of the humility I'm seeing here is a byproduct of the honoring culture that you have here,
Right.
which is great. But what I do love about when I'm hanging out with you guys, you don't have an honor up culture. You've got an honor up, honor sideways, honor down. So like the honoring goes to every human being. Like you just honor human beings. And I think if you're creating a culture where you're constantly honoring every single human being, walking through the door, they might be the poorest of the poor or the richest of the rich, but you treat them the same with love and respect. I mean, that's a culture I'd want to see if I was running a church.
Yeah,
That's good. That's a good one.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Because I think culture, whether it's church culture or just culture at large, it's always a pendulum swing,
Yes.
right? And it's always trying to correct
Yep.
what
Yeah.
the previous generation went extreme towards.
Yep.
So we did have a very extreme honoring up culture, and we saw the good of it, and we saw the
Yeah.
not so good of it. And thank God, we are also swinging to the other side, hopefully in a more balanced way as well.
What did, if you don't mind me asking, like, what were some of the things that you did to make sure it was more healthy, more balanced?
I think we just saw the unhealthy aspects of it. Okay, I just give this example.
Let's go.
You will never be able to carry your own bags as a guest. So even today, like, I will still try to carry your bags, but you want to carry the other one yourself? Yeah, sure, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
In the previous days, that will be a big no-no.
Right.
I will have to get out, open the door for you, and the thing is, I still try to do that, but I won't kill myself trying to do that,
Yes.
you know, because
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. We swung towards a more healthy level right now,
Love that.
where I still try to make the guests feel at home, feel honored, and things like that, but not to the point where, come on.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
thing I really appreciate was back then it was really a top down the way you speak, especially if you're younger. Like, you know, I am the leader of the hill
Yeah,
kind of approach,
yeah.
right? But I think like what Kysern said, because of that extreme we had,
Yeah.
I think today, you know, a young person can come, I can come like,
Yeah.
TK, I don't really feel that's
Yeah.
like, you know, the right way to deal about it, and we can have a conversation.
So how do you practice that in Alostar, where you are leading a bunch of really young people?
Right.
Like, how do you instill that kind of culture, but yet not be that kind of authoritarian figure?
I want to be very honest. I'm still learning, because there are days where I get really frustrated. Like, I think me as a person, I'm a solution based kind of person. Like, come on, man, you see, you know what you need to do. Just do it, get it done, man. Right? But to look like what you mentioned, learning to show grace. So I'm still learning how to go about it. So I think it's a lot of humility of like, okay, man, what's going on? You know, oh, you didn't show up today. Okay, let's talk about it. You know, and give that space for that conversation. But
So
also
good.
learning that
Yep.
push and pull, because there are days where I'm like, Holy Spirit, please help me out here. Like, and I've experienced those moments where the Holy Spirit says, okay, this guy, you gotta sit down and, you know, risk it all. Because I have that fear of, if I kind of like discipline you and you leave, then I kind of feel like, oh man, I'm a bad leader. Like, what could I have done better, you know, to have that conversation better? So I'm learning to deal with that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's important. I mean, at the end of the day, we call it discipline, but it's discipleship,
Yeah.
right? And so everything you're doing is to help them be with Christ, be like Christ, do what Christ did, and that's what
Yeah.
Jesus did in the
Yeah.
Gospels.
Right.
So when we look at leadership, it's not like what is traditional leadership; it's what is biblical leadership. And Jesus asked the disciples questions, and the disciples asked Jesus questions,
Right.
and there's this back and
Yes.
forth, open conversation. And I just think use that model. Like if you want there to be humility and like a healthy level of honor, it means that the older generations ask questions of the younger generations, and the younger generations ask questions of the older generations. And outside of the church, the generations are divided. That's normal.
Yeah.
Like labeling, pointing fingers. I don't like this. You're boomer. You're a Gen Z.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
the church, we could model unity, really show the world what it looks like to have intergenerational leadership together. For that to happen, the elders need to create a seat at the table for the youngers, and the youngers need to come with a sense of humility to listen, to learn, and to also share.
Right,
So-
right, yeah. Changing lanes for a bit.
Let's go.
You travel a lot then. You have a lot to do. How do you manage it all with family?
Yeah.
You've got a wife, 2 kids, right?
No, 2 wives, 1 kid.
Two wives,
I'm joking. So, is that not funny? That would be funny in the UK.
Should have said it a little bit. Gone with that story first. Oh, is that a thing in the UK? 2 wives.
1 wife, Charlie, been married 16 years. She's my best friend. Very, very blessed that I get to do life with her. And 2 boys, Knox and Nico, 8 and 4. And so when me and Charlie met, she was 19, I was 21. I'd finished Bible college, started as a youth minister, and we like really fell for each other. But I told her I can't date her because I said I'm a youth leader. I'm committed to helping these young people, and I don't want to be distracted.
Right.
So we were friends for a year, and then after another year, we went on a date, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm still not ready. I just got to give my time to the young people. And she's like, you're an idiot, man. Like, you are an idiot. And so she went and she started dating somebody else, and I just assumed that was that. And then the youth ministry got into a healthy place. It was a great team, and I was 23, and I just felt like actually I'm in a healthier place where I could actually, go on a date with her. And so I randomly go to this payphone because I didn't. This was a long time ago.
What's a payphone?
What's a payphone?
What's a payphone?
Put in a quid, a pound.
What's that? I don't know, man. I
Dial
just know
the
my
number.
iPhone.
I'm like, hey Charlie. I'm like, it's Dan. I'm like, could I take you for a coffee? And she was like, yeah. She's like, yeah. Me and my boyfriend broke up 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, this is a God
Talking about divine intervention.
divine intervention. And and so because she is my best friend, we've got this relationship where we're just talking very honestly and openly. And when it comes to like traveling, you don't know what it's going to be like because you're booking things 6 months in advance. And so sometimes I travel and everything is home at the moment. Like yesterday on Sunday, Charlie was leading church. She was leading the service and both the kids went into kids' church and everything was great. There's been other times when I've been away for a weekend and everything has gone wrong. And so, there is no perfect moments. I heard a quote which says, the balance is the luxury of the comfortable. Which means if you're going to live a comfortable life, don't take risks, don't do things, then you can live a comfortable life. But if you're going to take risks, it's not always going to be balanced. And so for us, we just have honest conversations. And so 2 weeks ago, we had an honest conversation because we were looking at the last quarter of the year and looked at all my travel. And she's like, look, you're going here and then you're going there. I was meant to go to like Mombasa in Kenya to speak with the Youth for Christ. I love Youth for Christ, to their global staff. And then I was meant to be going to Nashville to spend some time with One Hope, 2 organizations that I passionately love. And she said, look, while you're there, I've got to be doing this, this, and this. She works for an anti-human trafficking organization called A21. And she's like, she's doing a lot in there. She's been there for a long time. And she says, the fact that you're away, it means you're not setting me up for a win. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's fine, we'll make it work. And I'm like, no. You're right. And so I called both of the people. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know I've committed. My yes is my yes and my no is my no. But I've just been aware that actually this is going to be detrimental, for my wife. Is it okay if I don't come? And they were so kind. They're like, Dan, don't worry. And so I cancelled those trips.
Right.
So all I'm trying to say is, if you do live a life where you're in ministry or your career at the same time you're trying to do family life, it's never going to be easy. There's always going to be ups and downs. But you got to always prioritize marriage first and family first. And the moment I start putting ministry first, I feel like everything's going to fall apart.
Right.
So it just reminds me of something that I say, if we want to live with intention, we have to live with intention.
Intention, yeah, right.
Because things will be pulling us, and there are times we just don't get it right. But it will always be there. And that's so true. It's never going to be comfortable.
No. It's not. Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment where you really felt, enough, whether because of family or because of just frustration, disappointments, that, man, I just want to don't do this anymore?
Do you know, there's never been one day where I've ever thought I don't want to do this. Like, I love young people with my whole heart. I love Alpha, the organization, the fact that we get to create a space for young people to invite non-Christian friends in. We're in a season of history where, people might not come to church to hear a preach, but they might come and have a conversation where they can debate and have a conversation, So I think, for me, what I'm doing is important. And I feel like God's like opened the door and I'm doing it right now because I'm trying to be obedient. So I've never had a day where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. At the same time, I've said to Charlie, look, if this is too much on our marriage and our kids, I'll be the first to say to Alpha, hey, can I just have a UK job where I don't travel and I do everything online? Like, they're such a great organization. They won't want me to mess up my marriage and my kids for the sake of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready. Like, if that happens, I mean, I've already said, to Alpha, I would have been on staff in 2031, 10 years. I would have been doing this role for 10 years. And so even in terms of succession, like I can't always be the guy.
Yeah,
so I said, by 2031, I'm not going to be the youth director anymore. So let's, over the next 4 years, put in a plan for succession. Who are some people that are coming through that we can invest in, who can take this on further than me? Because, you know what I mean? Like, when my kids become teenagers,
Right.
I think for me, what I'm hearing is like traveling gets harder when they're teenagers, not easier. And so, having two lads, I've got to be there for them. So I'm already making decisions which can enable me to either make sure they're either going to be traveling with me in their teenage years, or I'm at home more. What about you guys?
This is a real conversation I'm having with Caroline right now.
Right.
I love youth. I really do. And I think whenever there's an opportunity for a youth camp, a youth gathering, and especially what I'm passionate about is youth in like smaller cities.
Yeah.
Because the big cities get all the attention. And so for me, it's just me. I just like, man, I get to go, but every travel costs me something. I remember there was once, oh man, I missed Kyle's like dance thing he did for when he was 5 years old, and I think for about a week, like I just couldn't get over it. Like, man, how did I miss this? Like, I felt so bad and all. And so, but again, yeah, it's really, you want to fight for balance, but you don't want comfort. So I'm learning. I'm still learning to
So at the same time you miss things, there's also other things that they gain which they wouldn't have if you weren't doing what you're doing. So
Yeah.
you've got your kids here.
Yeah.
They've got to experience like this amazing place of like God's love.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I got to take my wife and my kids to Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
I think the year before last.
Yeah.
We went to Sunway Lagoon.
Yes, yes.
We've still got amazing memories of when we weren't expecting that tidal wave machine to be as big as it was, and we all got knocked out.
Yeah.
And so there's times when I'm away, like I got to be honest with you, I planned badly, and this year I missed Mother's Day and Father's Day. So I went the extra mile to make sure there was stuff at home, presents, videos, the whole lot. But
Right.
still, that was my mistake. So I've made that mistake.
Yeah.
I've put them in the calendar for next year so it doesn't happen.
Right.
But at the same time, I got to bring them to KL. I've got to take Knox with me to like Norway,
Right.
where he's seen 1,000 teenagers just worshiping God. Like
Yeah.
he wouldn't be exposed to some of the stuff he's been exposed to if I wasn't doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with everything, there's kind of highs and lows.
That's such a good point, because we talk a lot about what we miss out on, but the gains,
Yeah.
the gains are there as well. Man.
Yeah.
Again, of course, I think it's really the partner that you're with.
Yeah.
And to have that honest conversation.
That's it.
And I remember bringing Ayla for a trip in Borneo. And
Amazing.
it was a memorable one because she was sick as well. But she got to see. all these young
And just
people.
having that short moment yesterday when Ayla just came on stage,
Yeah.
just to do a little bit of dance.
I was
for
really
the
excited
song.
for that, yeah.
I think that was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment that people were just captured and like, wow, this is what ministry should look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fathers and sons, fathers and daughters.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you think we live in a different time? Like back in the day, I hear stories of when Billy Graham was sort of traveling so much, he was away from his family. But like we got FaceTime. Like I FaceTime my boys every day, my wife every day. Like there's a lot more.
Yeah.
It's different now.
Yeah, because it's a very real thing. Because we have friends. I mean, being a PK.
Yeah.
Growing up. Yeah. People do have bitterness and resentment towards ministry because of how ministry has taken their parents away from them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
very
think
real
one thing
stories.
I've learned is to always involve them in what I'm doing.
That's it. Yeah.
So every youth group and everything, what are we doing here, Papa? I'm like, come, just join me together.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Kyle? I want you to pray for that guy.
Yes.
Well, what do I say? Just say, Holy Spirit, help me to say. And you
Yeah.
just go and you just pray.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have all this memory. So I'm happy.
Yeah, it's a different day. Like studies are showing that kind of millennial parents are actually spending more time with their kids than previous. And that's not that previous did anything wrong. It's just their mindset was, I'm going to work so hard to get the money, to give them the roof, to give them the education, generation to set them to win. They did that out of love.
Right.
But I think for the younger generations, they're showing the love to their kids by actually time and proximity. And so it's a lot more normal now. And so in August, I've got 3 weeks off with my boys. It's the school holidays.
Right.
And I've saved up all my holiday. I've just got 3 solid weeks with them, you know. And you know, back in the day, that just wouldn't have been possible, you know. And so it's a different day we live in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. Well, I think we've got time for one more question.
Yeah, so
And,
I don't know if you have anything in mind. I do have something in mind.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, just as we wrap this, and it's again tied back to the real conversation that we've been having just before we started.
Yeah.
I noticed you always post pictures of people, of guys.
Yeah.
And you just put there, good lads.
Yeah.
And we thought, yeah, it's just a Dan Blythe statement thing, you know.
Yeah.
But then we just found out, okay, it's something that you do, not exactly as an official ministry,
Yeah.
but it's an effort that you make.
An intentional.
It's an initiative.
Yeah, the work.
Maybe you can share a bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, in Matthew 5, verses 41, Jesus says, if someone asks you to go 1 mile, go for them 2. So it means the extra mile isn't something you're told to do, it's something that you choose to do. So Good Lads is an extra mile that I choose to do. I don't get paid for it. It costs me money.
Yeah.
You know, it's my own time. It's the extra preparation. But there's lads that I have coffees with, and then as I'm having coffee with them, I'm just sitting. If they want advice, I give them advice. If they want prayer, I give them prayer. But I was just having coffees with all these different lads, and I was just like, actually, I don't have capacity as much to sit with as many lads as I used to. So I'm just going to put on a supper. Got a great friend, he's a great chef, and he's going to cook you good food. We're going to lay the table for you, show that we value you, and we're just going to have a conversation. And we've talked about like holiness at home. We've talked about biblical masculinity versus toxic masculinity. There's nothing which is off the table. But you know, typically, like as men, we don't love to chat. You know, we wear the mask, and you know, vulnerability isn't something which, you know, we're really good at. But if you create a safe space where, you know, lads actually feel like they can be themselves. I've seen strangers sit opposite each other for dinner, and they'll be so open about their struggles, about their pain, about their suffering, and so for me, that's the extra mile. If I can do that and help a lad, have a friend, have a conversation, then I'll do it.
How big do you see it as a problem right now in the church today, in terms of masculinity and the role of men? I know this is a whole different, this is a whole pod episode by itself. But since we talked about this, but yeah, maybe just a short one, like how do you see masculinity in the church today?
So I think all around the world, masculinity can look different. But I think it's not looking at so much what the culture says about masculinity, it's what the Bible says about masculinity. And even when I look at Jesus and I look at Paul, both of them very kind of secure in who they are in Christ, but then very vulnerable. Okay with weakness, okay with struggles, understanding that it is in Christ's strength that, you know, he turns our weakness into a strength. And I think, you know, one thing that we can all do as leaders is just make sure that we are not trying to be something that we're not, trying to pretend that we're these perfect pastors, perfect leaders, because that's when I see a lot of youngers leave the church, because they look at you on a pedestal and they think, oh, I can never be like that. You know, DK's got it so well, Kysern's like killing it, like the way you live your life, it's so perfect. And I'm here, like, because they're looking at their private life. But if we can share some of our struggles and our like hardship that we go through in an honest way, I've found that young men learn more from our weakness than they do from our strength. And so looking for opportunities to share that.
So good.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, TK, for having me this conversation. Dan, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Loved it.
And I think the next one we should talk about like masculinity.
Yeah,
Like,
because
this
I
is,
think that is a real needful topic, not just for the church. I
Yeah.
think just generally for today,
Yeah.
today's day and age. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
Really appreciate this, and really appreciate the friendship as well that we've been having since we got to know each other 2 years ago during your Sunway Lagoon experience.
And struggle at High Rocks together.
I mean, that
yesterday.
High Rocks is one of my favorite.
Dan, you made me look bad.
So
You're just too fast,
Thank
too
God I said
strong,
no, man.
too good.
Just so you know, I've said to Kysern that if he is up for doing the Malaysia High Rocks in December, I'd love to be his partner.
Come
but
on.
It's totally up to him.
Let's go, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's all, guys. See you guys.
Thank you once again. This is all for Hot Topics and
Soul Food.
so see you guys. Be blessed.